I'd love to do work with Jimmy Dore. I have loved his videos, and he has made me laugh in his coverage of the absurd things that we are being told about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
Candace Owens is breaking the internet again, and this time she's sitting at the top of the world. Her podcast just hit #1 globally, reportedly pulling in over 3.5 million daily downloads according to Podscribe. That's massive. People are saying it's the top show worldwide, and the wildest part, she didn't even promote it. No PR team, no campaign, nothing but her voice and a storm of controversy driving the clicks. But as usual, when Candace climbs, the haters come running. Some people online started throwing shade, calling her success Zionist propaganda. Seriously? Others are saying the numbers aren't verified, which just sounds like jealousy disguised as skepticism. One post even joked, unverified by who? The people who never liked her anyway? That's the kind of energy this whole debate has right now, chaotic, emotional, and loud. Still, those 3.5 million downloads are no small number. Sure, Joe Rogan might be averaging more, but the fact that Candace is even being compared to him proves how massive she's become. Every episode she drops turns into a full-blown digital event, trending hashtags, heated arguments, and people quoting her like she's a political rock star. Love her or hate her, she knows how to keep attention locked. But here's where things get extra messy. Some are suggesting that her sudden rise is actually tied to global tensions, especially her outspokenness about Israel. Critics say the outrage she triggers ends up boosting her platform, giving her even more traction. One commentator said, "It's a double-edged sword. They try to cancel her, but it just makes her stronger." And honestly, that sounds exactly like the Candace effect. Every time they come for her, her name climbs higher on the charts.
That I should be fired. Thank you for firing me. But that I should be fired. Thank you for firing me. But and thank you for the publicity of the firing. Andrew Clavin, Christ is King. Thank you so much. You are a hero in my book. Tucker Carlson, I don't know. I feel like I should thank you because a lot happened because people thought that.
Then Candace herself jumped online with a bold tweet that sent her fans into overdrive. She wrote, "Banned from Australia, sued by France, fired, smeared, demonized, persona non grata at award ceremonies, and 3.5 million downloads a day." She finished it with, "We've been in fight mode for so long that today feels like a celebration." Now that's a flex. And what makes it even more wild is that she's not exaggerating. Candace has literally been banned, sued, and dragged through headlines, yet somehow every hit only turns into fuel. She even joked that nobody cared when she quietly flew into the UK. Slipped in, as she called it, without any drama at all. She said it almost hurt her feelings that no one noticed, which just shows her mix of humor and defiance. Behind all the noise, there's something real happening here. Candace's rise isn't just about numbers, it's about the reaction she provokes. People feel something when she speaks, whether it's anger, admiration, or disbelief. That emotional spark is exactly why she's dominating the charts. And to top it off, the latest rankings even show the Candace Owens podcast beating out some of the world's biggest names, with Diary of a CEO trailing behind in second place. That's huge. From canceled to crowned, Candace Owens just proved she's not going anywhere. And the louder her critics scream, the higher her downloads climb. So now this is where things start getting even more interesting. The Diary of a CEO host, that guy who just popped out of nowhere, is suddenly right up there competing with the biggest names in the podcast world. He's only 33 years old, but somehow he's pulled in massive guests, top-tier production, and a fan base that keeps exploding. People are calling him the British Joe Rogan, and honestly, that's not far off. His setup is slick, the conversations are deep, and the vibe very calculated. But here's the thing.
We were plotting behind the scenes and we never were. And thank you, Tucker Carlson, for the weeks that I get off when the media is attacking you instead of me. Now it's kind of together. It's Tucker Carlson and Candace Owens, but thank you. I want to thank Australia. We see you, Australia. Tony Burke, thank you for banning us from an entire country, even though I didn't do nothing, but I'm banned. And guess what? You got to hear me anyways. Ha, 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 Tony Burke. Okay, but in reality,
how does someone blow up that fast? Viewers are starting to question if there's serious money behind him. Like, is this pure talent or just astroturfed success? The kind you can buy with investors, sponsorships, and a fancy London studio that screams corporate Polish? Because real talk, podcasts don't just magically shoot to the top overnight unless something or someone is pushing it hard. Even some commentators pointed it out, saying, when you've got the cash, you can buy momentum. And they're not wrong. That kind of studio, that kind of reach, those kinds of guests, it's not random. Sure, he's good at what he does, but people can't shake the feeling there's a whole PR machine behind that microphone. And then you look at the current rankings, it's wild. Kill Tony landed at number 5, and Joe Rogan, the podcast king himself, was way down at number 14 according to this list. That's insane. Some fans are scratching their heads saying, how's Rogan not even in the top 10? But others are reminding everyone that Spotify doesn't share his full data publicly, so the real numbers might be way higher. Rogan's still pulling around 13 million listeners, especially after that whole chaos with ivermectin and the COVID debates, which, let's be honest, only made him even more popular. But now all eyes are back on Candace Owens, because not only did she snag that number 1 spot, she did it after being fired by Ben Shapiro's company, and she's not shy about it either. Candace posted a clip thanking Ben for letting her go, saying it was the best thing that ever happened to her because now she's dominating the world stage without anyone controlling her message. That's cold-blooded confidence. And it's true. She's turning every hit into a win.
Sonia writes, Candace, you should team up with Dave Smith, Ian Carroll, and Jimmy Dore, form a coalition, share editors, push promotion, and spark Occupy Wall Street 2.0, end the Fed, fulfill Tupac's dream of a new party. I think I'm so traumatized from being at and like working for somebody else that I don't know that I could ever work.
She's banned from Australia. She jokes about it. She's mocked online. She claps back harder. She even said she's heading down under soon just to roast the same politicians who tried to keep her out. She's planning to learn local jokes about the officials who enforced lockdowns and bans, basically to turn their own actions into punchlines. That's savage energy. Meanwhile, online commentators are going off. One post that went viral read, Ben Shapiro gotta be punching the air right now after thinking he ended Candace, only to watch her rise to number 1 worldwide. People are laughing at the irony because the same network that cut her loose ended up fueling her biggest glow up yet. And then came one of the best takes yet. Commentator Ryan Maw summed it up perfectly. Have you ever seen an athlete at the peak of their career? You can tell that person was literally built to do exactly what they're doing. That's Candace Owens today. He's right. Every attack thrown at her becomes new ammo. Every insult turns into free marketing. Candace has mastered the art of using backlash as rocket fuel. Whether you agree with her or not, there's no denying it, or she's playing chess while everyone else is busy arguing over checkers. And that's exactly why she's untouchable right now. Now this next part, it's pure emotion mixed with admiration. You can really feel the shift when he starts talking about Candace. This isn't just casual praise anymore, it's full-on respect. He said, "This is what peak performance looks like." And honestly, that line hit hard. He admitted he's grown to have a deep affection for her, not just for what she says, but for how fearless she's been while the whole world tried to silence her.
Or anybody else, but forming a coalition and helping each other. We already do behind the scenes. I haven't done that with Jimmy Dore, but anything, these other people, Ian Carroll, we text regularly. Dave Smith, we text regularly when we're sharing information. So, or asking each other questions or asking for guidance. And I look up to these people for what they're doing. I look not even up to these people, I look beside.
That's not easy to do, and he knows it. He even shared a little story about bumping into her years ago at an airport in Dallas, back before her fame reached the level it is now. He didn't go up to her, didn't say a word, just quietly recognized her and moved on. Now he's straight up regretting it, saying he wishes he had talked to her back then because she was just sitting there alone. No entourage, no noise, no spotlight, just Candace being Candace. He said, "I didn't want to bother her, didn't want to explain who I was," but you can tell he's thinking about how different that moment would feel now. And what really stands out is the way he describes her courage. He said he loves her work, her fire, her strength, and the fact that she refuses to fold under pressure. He even joked that she's got more guts than half of Washington combined. That's the kind of energy that's earned her respect even from people who don't agree with her politically, because at the end of the day, what people are responding to is authenticity. And Candace has that in spades. Then he laughed about the podcast rankings, joking that he couldn't believe his own show didn't make the top 10. Where's the Jimmy Dore show at? He asked, half kidding, half salty, but clearly impressed by Candace's massive leap to number 1. He even revealed a funny little moment where Candace's name once popped up in his contacts list somehow. He said he tried texting her from his studio, but she never responded, which made everyone laugh. But still, that story added to the whole moment, showing how these independent creators, even with totally different audiences, still orbit the same digital universe. Then he made a point that hit home.
And I see these people, and I know that we are like in a line, united, and there is like an army that's rising, and it feels to me like it is the army of God. I'd love to do work with Jimmy Dore. I have loved his videos, and he has made me laugh in his coverage of the absurd things that we are being told about the Charlie Kirk assassination.
He doesn't have to agree with Candace on everything to admire her. If she's telling the truth, then good for her, he said, and that right there is what makes his take so refreshing. It's not about total agreement, it's about honesty. He compared it to how people watch his show too, saying many of his own fans often tell him, "I don't agree with everything you say, but I appreciate that you're real." That kind of respect across differences is rare these days, especially in media. He talked about how his live shows bring together people who've been labeled crazy just for questioning things, whether it's government narratives, pharmaceutical power, or media spin. He said the best part of performing live is watching total strangers bond in line before the show, realizing they're not alone in how they think. People laugh, they talk, they feel seen. It's more than just a comedy show, it's like a safe space for critical thinkers to breathe again. He painted a vivid picture. Rooms packed with hundreds of people who feel silenced elsewhere, but free there, laughing, connecting, debating, all without judgment. He said, "It's exhilarating to be in a room full of like-minded people. It's one of the funnest things ever." You could hear the pride in his voice when he said that. Almost amazed that he's built something like that from scratch. And then came the final punch, the part that summed up everything he's been saying about Candace and his own platform. "That's the beauty of it," he said. "You don't have to agree with me, but you can't silence me either." He went on to say that too many people in politics, especially within certain parties, have turned into narrative enforcers, punishing anyone who steps out of line. But Candace, she broke that mold wide open. So when he said, "This is what peak performance looks like," he wasn't just talking about numbers, he was talking about independence, resilience, and that rare kind of fearlessness that makes someone unstoppable. And here's where the whole conversation takes a sharp turn right into the heart of media politics, loyalty, and how quick people are to turn on you if you step out of line. He said straight up, "They're very much like Zionists. You can't step out of line one bit." That one line summed up the pressure so many public figures feel. This culture where you're either fully in or instantly out. It's like a club where even one wrong opinion gets you kicked to the curb. He compared it to a cult, and not just any cult, but one where you've got to follow the script perfectly no matter what the truth is. He said people he personally knows in Hollywood, famous names that everyone would recognize, literally stopped talking to him because he didn't vote for Hillary Clinton. Imagine that. Friendships ending, doors closing, all because someone dared to think differently. That's wild. Then he dropped another bomb. The executive producer of Modern Family once came after him publicly on Twitter just because of something he said on his LA radio show. Like what? A comedy producer trying to shame someone for speaking their mind? He laughed about it now, but you could tell it still blew his mind that Hollywood, of all places, the so-called land of creativity, could be that closed-minded. He even joked, "Who would have thought a network producer could have such a dumb opinion and still run their mouth online?" It was part frustration, part comedy, and right when the conversation could have gotten too heavy, he flipped it with humor, cracking jokes about his own hair. He started talking about how he uses those hair fiber sprays that make your hair look thicker on camera. He said, "Look how full it looks. It's fake. I use that topic stuff. It's amazing." The others started laughing, teasing him that it looked like he just dumped a whole can on his head. That quick comedic break made the moment feel totally raw and real, like a bunch of friends riffing mid-rant. But then he brought it back around to Candace, the person who'd inspired the whole segment in the first place. He said she's not just bold, she's genuinely funny. She's got a great sense of humor. That's another reason why I love her, he said. You could hear the admiration in his voice, the kind that goes beyond politics. He even joked that he wishes he had her number so he could text her congrats directly, laughing that their phones might have synced through some weird app glitch because of mutual connections like Dave Smith. Then he got more reflective, saying he plans to reach out to her producer to pass along his message personally. "I'd love to have her on the show," he said. What a day that would be. You could tell he meant it. There was something real about the way he described her journey. He saw himself in her, and that's when he opened up about why he connects with her so deeply. He said, "I've got an affinity for people who take on their own side." And that's exactly what Candace is doing right now. She's not scared to challenge her own movement, just like he's been doing for years with his. He explained that ever since starting his show back in late 2015, his entire mission has been about calling out hypocrisy, especially from the people who claim to be the good guys. He said when he began, his main frustration was how the Democratic Party had become disconnected from ordinary people. Everyone kept asking why voters were going for Trump, he said, and I told them, stop blaming the voters and start blaming the Democrats for not giving people anything worth voting for. That's the kind of blunt honesty that built his platform in the first place. And he didn't stop there. He even pointed out how some figures on the right, like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, are now doing what Democrats won't, standing up to their own establishment. It's not about agreeing with them, it's about recognizing courage when you see it, because it takes guts to call out your own team, and that's exactly what he respects most in Candace. He wrapped that section with a big dose of respect, saying, "She's taking it on the chin and still standing tall. That's power." And he's right, because whether you love or hate her, Candace Owens isn't hiding, isn't folding, and definitely isn't apologizing for thinking for herself. In a world full of echo chambers, that's what makes her stand out. She's not just talking, she's walking right through the fire and smiling while she does it. And by the time the conversation wrapped up, the energy was electric. Everyone in that room knew they weren't just talking about a podcast ranking anymore. They were talking about something way bigger. Candace Owens had become the symbol of what it means to fight back against a system that tries to silence you. And the irony, the same people who tried to cancel her are the ones who helped make her the most streamed voice in the world. That's wild. He said it perfectly. Every hit she takes only sharpens her blade. And it's true. Whether it's being banned, mocked, or fired, she turns every setback into fuel. She's not waiting for anyone's approval anymore. She's building her own empire on her own terms, and the proof is sitting right there in the numbers. 3.5 million downloads a day without a single dollar of paid promotion. That's not luck, that's strategy and survival mixed together. He also made a point that really hit home. Both he and Candace have been branded as too much by their own sides, but that's the price of honesty. When you stop following the script, you suddenly become the villain to people who once cheered for you, and yet that's exactly what makes their voices powerful. They don't bend when the mob comes calling, they double down. You could tell this wasn't just about admiration, it was about shared experience. He talked about how isolating it can be to speak your truth in today's media world, where the moment you question anything, you're labeled or blacklisted. But watching Candace push through that, smiling while the headlines get louder, gave him hope that authenticity still wins in the end. And then he said something that perfectly summed it all up. Candace isn't just controversial, she's consistent. And consistency scares people who build their careers on pretending. That line hit different, because whether people agree with her or not, no one can say she hides who she is. She's upfront, direct, and impossible to ignore. He finished with a grin saying, "I don't care what anyone says, Candace earned that top spot." The whole tone shifted from debate to celebration. It wasn't about politics anymore, it was about resilience. It was about watching someone get knocked down again and again and still stand up taller each time. And honestly, that's what makes this story so wild to watch. Candace Owens went from being written off to rewriting the game, using every controversy, every backlash, and every headline as part of her comeback story. She didn't just win the numbers, she won control of her own narrative. So whether people love her or can't stand her, one thing's undeniable. Candace Owens is in her prime, and she's not backing down for anyone. And that's where the conversation hit its final stride. Raw, unfiltered, and surprisingly personal. He pointed out something that's been echoing through political circles lately. There isn't one Democrat standing up to their own party anymore. He said, "You can't find a single one doing what Candace does." And he's right. AOC, Bernie Sanders, none of them are challenging the system that claims to represent them. Meanwhile, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Thomas Massie, figures once written off as extreme, are suddenly standing to the left of mainstream Democrats on issues like Israel, Ukraine, and working-class jobs. That twist alone had everyone's jaw on the floor. He wasn't exaggerating either. He broke it down point by point, saying Greene is now firmly to the left on multiple issues that used to define progressivism. It's wild how the lines have blurred, how the people once branded as radicals are now the only ones publicly questioning endless wars and unchecked spending. He said, "It's easy to be a partisan. What's hard is telling the truth when it costs you friends." And that's exactly what Candace Owens is doing. He called her a real trailblazer, someone brave enough to take on her own side and still stand tall through all the hate. That's why he said he feels a connection to her, because that's been his whole career too. He's built his name by pushing back against the mainstream, even when it meant getting attacked by the same crowd that used to cheer for him. He called out media figures who just parrot talking points, calling them intellectually lazy and safe for the algorithm. But Candace, she's the opposite. She's fearless, and that's rare. Then the mood shifted again. Light, funny, and human. He started reminiscing about his Catholic school days, saying he went through 12 years of Catholic education. He laughed, calling it Brutal but educational, with a mix of good teachers and total maniacs. He cracked jokes about the Christian brothers who taught him, saying they looked like priests but couldn't marry or have kids, and then laughed about how the school called non-religious teachers lay teachers. He joked that even as a teenager, the irony of that name had him cracking up in class. That moment was pure comedy gold. A break from the politics, showing the same humor that keeps his audience hooked. But before signing off, he brought it back full circle, right to Candace Owens. With a smile, he said, "Congrats again to Candace. She deserves it all. She's showing what real conviction looks like." And you could tell he meant it. The respect was genuine. He said he'd love to collaborate with her someday, calling it a dream conversation waiting to happen. And that's how the episode closed, with laughter, truth, and mutual respect for a woman rewriting the rulebook on independent media. If you made it this far, make sure to like, subscribe, share, and drop your thoughts in the comments below. And as always, see you on the next one.